I'm Kelsey Moser, and you're watching Thorin's YouTube channel, where no sandbagging goes unscrutinized.
Earlier this week, a situation came out of the LCL, the Russian league, from Riot Russia, where they gave warnings via competitive ruling to the team ROX, not to be confused with ROX Tigers. Obviously, we're talking about the team in the Russian league here, and against Team Vega Squadron, both for what happened in games against a squad called Vaevictus, which is also in the LCL. So what we'll do now is we'll hop in and we'll look at some of the evidence, some of the information, and we'll start with the competitive ruling. So here we are on the disciplinary solution, as the translation says, the competitive ruling against ROX and Vega Squadron. So what happened is ROX on the February the 16th played against the Vaevictus team and beat them, and Vega Squadron played against the Vaevictus team on the 17th February, and they also beat him. And it says here, during the investigation of incidents, the degree of seriousness of violations was determined and a disciplinary decision was made. So let's go and look at each of the cases that they make here. So okay, we have this one here first. We have the ROX violation. So the ROX violation says, in the game against Vaevictus, the ROX team banned 5 support champions during the selection/blocking phase, vetoing phase. Remember, this is Google Translated. Although formally this is not prohibited by the Riot Games, and the wider gaming community of League of Legends took this as a manifestation of disrespect for the players of the Vaevictus esports team. Then there's this section here where it says the regulations guideline, which has rule 10.2.4, which says discrimination and humiliation of honour and dignity. Team members are prohibited from insulting the honour and dignity of a country, an individual, or a group of people by means of scornful, discriminatory, or degrading honour and dignity of words, expressions, or actions indicating race, colour, nationality, state, and social identity, language, religion, political and other attitudes, financial and other status, origin, sexual orientation, and other personal characteristics. Remember, this is Google Translate, so some of this isn't going to be exactly the way it would be phrased in English. It then says here, ROX's offence. ROX banned 5 support champions during the pick ban process, although it's not a sign of disrespect towards the Vaevictus esports team. Although, I assume that's just mistranslated. The LCL's guiding one, there we say it, same thing. Discrimination and denigration, basically a different version of the same exact ruling, right? So what actually happened in this game? Let's go and have a look, shall we? So we're going to do the ROX example first, and then we'll do the Vega Squadron example second. It's mainly about the ROX example. So here we are. Here's the game that took place. It was on, as we said, 16th of February. You can see it here. And it was a game that took 21 minutes, so only 1 minute over the classic surrender time of a game. It's an absolute shit stomp where the Vaevictus team has 1 kill, literally, and that's on the support, ironically enough, when you hear this story. Although I guess it's not irony when you actually hear all the details. And the ROX team has won very, very easily. They have a massive gold lead. They've taken all the towers. There's basically nothing at all to go for Vaevictus here. But the problem is, as we said, look at ROX's bans. They've banned Nami, Janna, Lulu, Thresh, and Braum. 5 support champions against Vaevictus esports. Now, you might be thinking, because it doesn't say anything in that disciplinary ruling, what's discriminatory about banning 5 support champions? Like, let me see. You know, sometimes in Korea they do it where the bans actually spell out a word. Maybe there's a horrible word here. So NJL. No, there's no words with NJL. Let's start there. Okay. Thresh. We haven't even got any vowels. So it couldn't be any actual words spelled out here. Let me see. Yep, they're all champions in the game of League of Legends. You're allowed to ban them all. Sure, 3 of them, I'd say like Lulu, Nami, and Janna generally aren't really that meta. Thresh and Braum, very meta champions, actually. So again, I don't know what the problem would be here. Where's the discrimination, right? You're about to find out, right? So let's go and find out the full story, shall we? Because the real detail you need to know here is that Vaevictus Esports is fielding a lineup of 5 female League of Legends players. So the implication by Riot here is that it's discriminatory to ban 5 support champions against a team of 5 female players. Well, they didn't finish their logic, so I'm going to have to finish it for them, which is the only reasonable read that you can have in light of the fact that they've mentioned discrimination, and that's against the group, and that the only grouping that Vaevictus Esports has, aside from being bad players, you know, there's no rules actually against banning players against bad players, is that they're all women, right? They're all female players. So the implication here is that when you ban all supports against female players, that is sexist and discriminatory because I mean, remember, the Riot Games and broader League of Legends community took this as a sign of disrespect towards them. So you're disrespecting them by banning 5 players. So Riot Russia themselves are suggesting that female players only play support champions, and that as a result, to ban support champions is to disrespect them for being female. Otherwise, they are basically implying that they have read the minds of the ROX players and they know their intentions for making those bans. Either it's a fact, a provable, tangible piece of evidence that women largely play support, and therefore banning support against them is specifically to point out that they're women, or Riot can read the minds of the ROX players and know that that's why the ROX players did it, to disrespect them for being women, because it's one or the other. There's no real third option here. Now, what's ridiculous about this is, first of all, as I pointed out, the actual meme about women playing support is the e-girl meme, right? It's the idea that they all play support because it's easy, it's less mechanically intensive, you can get carried in the bot lane by the AD carry. And the other part of the meme, the key element, of course, is that not only do they play support, considered more of a feminine role in terms of how people want to make stereotypes, because, it's more caring, you're looking after someone, you're supporting their efforts, you're making them succeed. Traditional gender roles, I guess people would define this as a bit bizarre that we're going this deep on fucking games. Like, well, okay. The meme isn't complete there, is it? It's not just that they play support. It's always that, well, they play support also because it has a lot of female champions that play support, right? Like Nami, like Lulu, like Janna. You go back in time far enough, Lux, etc. Plenty of support champions that are female, right? The meme is also that women like to play cutesy champions or female champions. They like to play as a woman in a game. Not even that ridiculous a concept when you consider that actually a lot of ideologues in the modern day imply that actually representation is a very important quality. And so, for example, an African-American person needs an African-American person in the movie to watch, to identify with. A Native American person needs a Native American character, Indian rather, in the movie to be able to identify with. So that's the logic that they're going with here. And yet, bizarrely, when by the meme, by the stereotype, women do that, somehow, if you point that out, that's bad in that particular case, even though it's getting women to play the game, and we're supposed to deny the reality of it. Yet in the very same logic, elsewhere in society, we're told that this happens, and in fact, it's important, because that means that people have something to look to and they can relate to, and that's going to make them interested in that activity. So which is it, right? You can't have it both ways. You can't gaslight the fuck out of us in both directions, and basically just say, well, whichever one I go with at this moment's right, but you're wrong. Whichever, even if you repeat the same logic, you're wrong. So that's interestingly enough, right? Because they basically, it's Riot Russia implying that women are the ones who play the support champions. But even then, it's not even like all 5 of these bans are off meta. So the most ridiculous part is Thresh and Braum are absolutely meta bans. That's absolutely fine. So really, you're punishing them for banning 3 champions: Nami, Janna, Lulu. Now keep those picks in mind, if you could, please. Because here's the thing. I'm now going to have to explain to you who Vaevictus Esports lineup at the moment is, and the context of who they are, and who they are as players, and you're going to find that the story didn't stop there. That's the story. The rest of the story isn't an abstract rant like I just gave there about like current social justice and like gender politics and feminist theory on like heteronormative gender standards and traditional roles in society. No, it's not about that. They're now going to find that it gets more ridiculous. Riot's position gets absolutely ridiculous when you find out who Vaevictus Esports is. So let's go ahead and let's have a look, shall we? Because the reason why we need to know who Vaevictus is imagine the scenario that if you don't know, because Riot doesn't tell you here, if you didn't know this and you just heard a team of 5 female players is playing in a pro league in League of Legends, and another team of all male players has disrespected them by trying to imply that they're all e-girls who just play support champions, and they've done it just to show them up, to mock them, to show how shit they are as players. And there's no other reason aside from that you could have, and therefore you can read their minds, you can justifiably say, I've speculated, but I can gauge what their intentions are, and therefore they should be warned. At least they weren't banned, but they were warned. Now the problem with this is, in that world, there'd even be a degree to which I'd say, yeah, that is kind of bad, man, actually. That is a bit unprofessional, the ROX players, if that indeed is what they did. Logically, it still wouldn't necessarily be something you'd ban them for. You're allowed to make those bans. And in fact, if this team is just 5 female players and they're a real, legitimate professional level team, you will be doing them a favour by doing stupid bans that aren't meta, like Nami, like Janna, like Lulu in this particular scenario. Because if you give away bans in the ban phase to a good team, a proper pro team, then you also give up power picks to that team. Therefore, they get a better draft. Therefore, they will probably beat you or have a better chance of beating you. So it'll take care of itself. The teams who do this will lose, and therefore they're not incentivized by competition to actually do this. But it's worse than that, because what if this had happened in circumstances with a male team, right? Oh, that would be interesting, right? Oh, what's that? Let's go and have a look in the EULCS, right? EULCS Spring 2018. We're going to the semi-finals where Fnatic was playing as Vitality. Obviously, Fnatic ended up winning the split. Vitality was like the revelation of the split early on in the Ardent Sensor meta. And then we're going to go to one of these games here. So let's have a look here. We've got this one. Okay, that's interesting. Game 1, yeah. Game 2, yeah. Okay, we're going through. Game 3, la la la. Game 4. It's the 4th game, and Fnatic's leading 2-1. Elimination game for Vitality. So Vitality desperately want to win this game. They want to get to game 5 and have a chance to go to the finals for the first time ever, right? So let's have a look what their bans are. Oh, what's that? Oh, they've banned Zaya. It's AD carry champion. They banned Tristana, AD carry champion. They banned Jin, that's an AD carry champion. They banned Sivir, that's an AD carry champion. And they've banned Jinx, that's an AD carry champion. So Team Vitality has banned, in a playoff game, 5 AD carries to target Reckless from Fnatic, and they forced him onto Ezreal overall. Now, is that something wrong? Is that discriminatory? Are you not allowed to do that? No, of course not. You're allowed to do that. And you know what happened? As a result of doing that, Vitality lost the game, and this actually wasn't even that good a game if you look at the stats. Doesn't look like it was very convincing at all. Didn't particularly stop Reckless, and they lost the game. So there we go. No problem, right? There've even been past examples. I saw someone give an analogy. I couldn't find the exact game scoreboard of it, where apparently in CB LoL, when the French player DOubleG, who you might remember from many, many, many years ago, I think it was on like against All Authority or Millennium or one of these teams, I think it was against All Authority when they were in the LCS, the first split. When he was in CB LoL, the Brazilian league, and he was playing for Red Canids, he actually had all supports banned against him because he was thought of as the best support player in the league at the time. So this is something that actually happens in pro play. So it's not even like there's no precedent for it, right? But now let's find out who Vaevictus Esports is, this particular lineup, because when you find this out, it's going to get really disturbing what's going on here. In terms of the people who fucked up is Riot Russia even letting this team play in the league. They've made a mockery of the LCL by letting this team field this lineup. So let's go and have a look at this particular lineup, shall we? So Vaevictus Esports, here we are. What's this? Okay, yeah, so they have all these players listed on their active roster, don't they? Look at them all. But then if you go and look, they have a bunch of players. Violet Fairy joined on the 10th of February, so 6 days before that first match against ROX. You have Triana joined on the 10th of February. You have Anna Ancourt joined on the 10th of February. And you also have Merau joined on the 10th of February. And you have Trigger joined on the 10th of February. So all 5 players in this team joined the LCL roster to become starters 6 days before the first game of the LCL. That's weird. That makes it seem like they had nothing to do with this team getting into the LCL. Let's go and have a look, shall we? So we go back to the LCL promotion. This is how Vaevictus Esports got in, which is that they made it through the qualifier, and then in qualifier number 2, they got a forfeit win over PPC, Pla Pro C58. It's actually C58, I believe back in the day at Cyberfight, actually. It's interesting. So, they got a walk-in review, and this was back in, it was in August the 30th of 2018. So the team that qualified Vaevictus Esports to the LCL, none of the players that are in the current lineup right now, all 5 of those players, as you saw here, just joined. 4 of them joined, and who's this? Triana was actually a manager of the team, female manager of the team. She makes herself the starting player, and then puts in 4 female players along with her. So that they've got a brand new roster, right? Now, already I would say you should definitely have some rulings about whether you can replace an entire team when you're in a league if it didn't qualify for there, because obviously we'd all be really worried, right? That a team might qualify, replace their lineup with really bad players who aren't LCL quality, and therefore make a mockery of the league, right? God, wouldn't that be terrible? Even worse if they were all women, and therefore it actually perpetuated the stereotype that women can't play video games at a professional level, like League of Legends, right? That would be a really bad thing to have happened. So let's look into who these players are, shall we? Because as recently as January of this year, the Vaevictus team was playing with their male lineup. They had their normal lineup in the team. But as I say, 10th of February, they changed the particular lineup and they bring these people in. They get their manager. She becomes a player. And then they bring in 4 female players to go along with them. And who are these 4 female players and the manager, right? I'll go ahead and tell you right now, guys. They are 5 diamond players from the Russian ladder. And they are actually generally support players, all of them, in some context. So, you remember, in some regions, I believe you have to be Diamond 3 or Diamond 2 or above to even be allowed to play, I think, in like LCS in certain regions. So let's go and look. We've got the Russian OPGG of these people. Oh, let's have a look. So we've got Ankort here. And what's that? She's in Diamond 4. Let's go and look at Triana, the manager. She's in Diamond 4. Let's go look at Violet Fairy. She's in Diamond 4. Let's go look at Mirau. She is in Diamond 3. Let's go look at Triggered. The best player on the team, Triggered, is Diamond 1. That's it. That's who she is. So, okay. Here's the interesting detail. Let's go look what champions they play, right? Because, I mean, remember, it would only be unfair to ban the supports if it didn't mean anything in the context of the game competitively, and he was just doing it to show up that even though, like, you know, a top laner is a proper top laner, you're banning supports to say, you're still a girl, and I bet you want to play support champions, don't you? So let's look, okay? We've got Ankort, Diamond 4 player here. What's her most played champion? Oh, Nami, is it? And that's where most of her wins have come. She's got 13 wins on Nami. There's not another thing she's got even 4 wins on. Then she's also playing Locks, Thresh, Morgana, Karma, Lulu, Zyra. I think you're starting to get a pattern here, right, guys? She's a support player when she plays on the ladder. And she's in Diamond 4. Let's go look at the manager, right? Triana. She's in Diamond 4 as well. What's she playing again? Oh, she also has a significantly better win rate on Nami than anything else. Lulu's pretty good as well. So she's playing Nami, Lulu, Brand can even be a support champion. She plays a bit of AD carry, Jinx and Lucian, a couple of games. Then we've got Morgana, we've got Annie. This is mainly a support player at this point in time, isn't it, guys? Let's look at Violet Fairy, shall we? Diamond 4 player. Let's look at what champion she's playing. Oh, she's got an incredible win rate on Katarina. She's a one-trick on Katarina. She's got a terrible win rate on another mid lane champion, Ari. She's got a terrible win rate on Urgot, an OP as fuck top laner or mid laner. Now let's go look. Okay, aside from Katarina, which she's a one-trick on, she's got Nami. That's a good win rate there. She's got Janna. That's a good win rate there. She played a bit of Zac. She played some Morgana. She played some Lulu. She's got some Taric, she's got some Rakan, she's got some Leona, she's got some Braum, she's got some Velko. I would go ahead and say this is a support player, wouldn't you guys? So then let's go and have a look at Mirau, shall we? Mirau in Diamond 3 there. Oh, that's good, isn't it? What's her most played champion? Nami with 13 wins and almost nothing else with good win rate. Aside from that, she plays a bit of Elise, jungler, okay. Then she plays Rakan, obviously support player. Lulu, support player. She's terrible at Nidalee, so obviously not a good jungler. She plays Janna, she's won one of those. She plays Braum, support champion. She plays Tahm support champion. Then she's played some other junglers and lost those games. She's played Locks, which I don't know whether she played that support or not. Looks like a support player to me, guys. We've got 4 support players so far. Let's go to L9 Triggered, shall we? The highest ranked one of them. She is in Diamond 1. And what do you know? Her most played champion is Lulu. She has 4 wins on it. Nothing else with even 3 wins. She plays a bit of jungle as well. She has some Jarvan there. Obviously, you can play that in support now in this current meta. She plays Janna. Definitely play it in the support role, can't you? Lysandra, typically a mid lane champion. She's got some Gnar, some Kai'Sa. But then she's got Leona. She's got Karma. She's got, hers is closer. She's at least got like half and half. But even then, her best champion is Lulu, which to be fair, because you don't always have to play in support roles. She's got Janna, which you only play in support role. So this one's a little bit more questionable. So let's go look again at the lineup, shall we, right? So Triggered, she was the top laner. She's the one who came the closest to not being a support man. And even she plays support champions. Then we had Mirau, the jungler. She was playing, some jungle champions. Probably a practice for this role when she was getting the spot. And then she's playing loads of supports as well. Well, is it common that junglers play support, is it? Then we've got the mid laner, Violet Fairy. She was the one playing tons of support champions. Then we have the AD carry, Triana, the former manager, who's still a manager technically. She's also playing support champions, even though she's the AD carry. Then we have Ankor, who actually is a support, who fair enough is playing support champions. So that seems a bit weird, doesn't it? You've got diamond players who are fucking terrible at the game, even on their own server. They're playing mainly support champions. They clearly were main supports largely, with the exception of like Triggered, who was a top laner / support. And in fact, if you look at them, not only is the Violet, who's the mid laner, playing Katarina only, and then basically off-roll support, but you go and look, this is the maddest detail here. Are you ready for this detail? So if we go and have a look now, let's go and look at the team rosters, shall we? Oh, what's that? They've played 3 games, and in the 3rd game, the top laner, who I told you, in terms of the OPGG evidence, is the least a support player, fucking role swap to support, and then Ancourt, the support player, role swap to top lane for that particular game. This is a team of 5 support players. What's that they've done over on the ROX side of the equation? They've gone and banned 5 support champions. Fucking hell, I can't handle it. How have they done it? Not only that, they've banned 5 support champions against players who don't even have 5 support champions when their main supports in Diamond that they're actually good on with win rates on. So let's go and look at this, shall we? Let's go and remember what those bans were. Let's go back here and have a look. So remember the bans that we had here, guys. So we had Nami, first of all. Now, if you count up the OP.GG for Season 9, there are 57 Nami games between the 4 players that were playing it in Season 9. Then they banned Janna. Janna had 7 games between the 3 players, again with some win rate. Lulu had 27 ranked games between all 5 of the players, again has been banned there. Those are the only bans that are specific to these people and that aren't to do with the current meta, because obviously Thresh and Braum are support champions in the meta at the moment and are normal bans. So basically ROX is being punished for looking up the history of these players, seeing their supports, that they can only play even a few supports, and then doing what a proper analyst does, which is tell the team, target ban the only champions they can play, and let's make them play other stuff. And so as a result, they did this, and ROX is now being punished, or rather publicly shamed for this, and warned. And what's the basis behind why they're able to do this? You know, why are they able to even go ahead and say such a thing? Competitive integrity, right? It's always competitive integrity. So I'll read out the actual rule clause for competitive integrity, and you'll see how ridiculous this is. It's rule 10.1.1.2. It says competitive integrity. Teams are expected to play at their best at all times within any LCL game and to avoid any behaviour inconsistent with the principles of good sportsmanship, honesty, or fair play. For the purpose of clarification, team composition and the pick ban phase will not be considered when determining whether this rule has been violated. The rules itself say that this particular aspect of pick ban and what your comp ends up being are not going to be considered when you're determining whether the competitive integrity has been violated. So actually, competitive integrity angle doesn't even work for this ruling. And also, if you want to talk about competitive integrity, that you're supposed to play at your best at all times and you're supposed to show fair play and honesty, do you think it's fair and honest and has competitive integrity for Vaevictus to take 5 diamond players who are all support players, a couple of them off-rolling, and have 4 of them role swap to other roles they've never played before, largely, and have them play at a professional level in the top Russian league? No. In fact, what's interesting, I saw people making this comment, so I can't verify it, but it certainly seems to add to the circumstances that supposedly the reason why Vaevictus has done this, removed the lineup that got them into the LCL and was playing in the Open Cup last month, is because Vaevictus Esports apparently, allegedly, wants to sell their team and it didn't go through. And so as a result, they've decided instead, let's get some PR. Let's get a little bit of pop-off. Let's have a scandal, right? So what we'll do is we'll put in these 5 female players, including our fucking manager, who are all diamond, and we'll make that the kind of gimmick, right? Hey, we've got all these female players. Hey, the first female team in the LCL. And so what happened to this team after that? Well, let's go and have a look, shall we? Oh, what's that? This is a team that has lost all 3 of their games, 2 of them being the ones that teams are now getting actually punished for what they've done against them. So that seems pretty fucking ridiculous, right? Now, another thing, and I'll link it at the top of this video, is I've got a video that they actually created, this team, where they essentially mock and make light of the fact that they've been losing all their games, and they imply they're going to go and lose every game in the league. They actually make it seem cool or funny or like it's a meme. They're playing up the fact that they're going to lose all their games. Now, first of all, shouldn't that be discrimination? You're implying that a team of 5 women would lose all their games in the LCL. They haven't even lost most of those games. What, they're going to go 0-21 and they've only lost 3. What a sexist statement to make by the logic of Riot Russia and people complaining that this is an issue. So absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? Now, I also want to make one other point here, which is, are we just going to also, for the sake of the abstract concept of discrimination and sexism, ignore our own experiential situations, your own life experience, your own lived experience where you've played League of Legends, and you've played League of Legends with people who are girls, because guess what? Girls play League of Legends. Some of us know them, right? Some of them are our friends. Some of us play with them. Some of us play against them. We've all played with and against girls, right? Now, I'm not claiming to have played with every girl in the world. I definitely wouldn't even claim to have seen every girl in the world. But my own experiential report would be that it is actually a stereotype that stems from a real grain of truth. That many, many women I have seen playing League of Legends chose to play a support role. As I said, there's even a logical reason. If you look at almost like evolutionary basis and what the traditional roles were within society, I can see why they would enjoy playing support, or why if they have only just started the game and they're not good at it, they might want someone to help them play the game and teach them the game. Therefore, playing in the bot lane would be the ideal way to do that. So you have someone who can support you in terms of the other aspect of the word support and help you and tell you what to do in the lane. Also, maybe you're friends with that person, or it is your boyfriend. Could be whatever situation you want, right? I've seen that happen many, many times. And beyond that, I've also seen many times that those same girls and women and females are drawn to the cute characters, which tend to be the female characters. They like to play female characters. This has been my experience. So let's just go ahead and be real here, right? That's not some like hate speech or some like outrageously sexist remark. That is my lived experience. And that is the people that I know who are my friends. And they would tell me, oh, I like to play that character. Look how cute Lulu is. I don't want to play a horrible champion like Urgot. They would tell me, oh, I want to play LoX, like she looks really cool, like I like her hair. These are the things they actually say, because guess what? Women are allowed to have these thoughts. Women are allowed to have their own preferences, and they can be the same as men. They can choose to play top lane and be a super sick player and play Urgot and play whatever else you want to, Rise and Kennen if they want to. Yeah, that can happen. But not all of them are going to do that. And so some of them are going to do this. So first of all, it's not even just a meme, is it? There is a grain of truth to it, at least from my lived experience. And as far as I can tell, other people in the scenes. Now, apparently no one's allowed to say that sort of thing. But guess what? Try stopping me. So then the other aspect here is the Vega Squadron angle. And what happened with Vega Squadron is this. We'll go back to the disciplinary aspect where it says, in the game against Vaevictus Esports, Vega Squadron players deliberately delayed the game, which is a violation of the competitive spirit of competition. Now, funnily enough, the competitive spirit of competition obviously is the part that they didn't apply to ROX, even though ROX's aspect suggested that they were entirely within the rounds, but they've applied it now to this team because they took too long to win the game, right? So the implication is, you were purposely not winning the game because the other team's too bad. Wait a minute, what do you mean the other team's too bad? Oh, the other team's too bad and they're all fucking diamond support players. That should be the expectation. Why the fuck are they in the game? What the fuck is this? So when I am in a winning position, I must end the game there. Why is that? I've seen plenty of teams be in a winning situation in the game and say, let's not take the risk of pushing the base now. Let's go get this extra dragon. Let's go for Baron now, actually. Let's back, get our items, play extra safe and get the next team fight, and then we'll close the game very cleanly. By this logic, you're not allowed to do that. Like, that is actually delaying the game, and that's illegal. You're not allowed to do that. Let's consider scenarios where I remember there was a game where Name for EDG in 2014 bought like a Sword of the Occult because he was so far ahead, just sat outside the Baron pit trying to pick motherfuckers off just to get gold for the lols. By that logic, that should be against the rules. That's unacceptable, right? What about when Golden Guardians pick scaling comps and wait till the very end of the fucking game to finally win? They shouldn't be doing that. They should be picking early game champions and trying to win as fast as possible and never doing that actual approach. Never being a counter puncher, as it were. What about any team that waits till the end of the game in this particular circumstance? It's ridiculous, right? By this logic, that's not allowed. You have to take the fastest route to victory possible. Otherwise, they're allowed to read your mind and decide that you were purposely delaying the game. So let's go have a look at the game in question, right? Here's a screenshot towards the end of this game, boys. We've got Vega Squadron up here. Vaevictus and Vega Squad. Yeah, that's right. Vaevictus is obviously here with the 2 kills. So look, at the end of the game, which is only a 31-minute fucking game, so not even like, it's not like it's a 60-minute game. We've had worse games than this in the fucking LCS. Hope all of the LCS is getting wrecked for this. And 31 minutes in, Vega Squadron has 52 kills, more than almost a double gold lead, 10 towers to 0 towers. And let's go look at the scoreboard down here, shall we, boys? Oh, look at this. They've died twice. They have monster amount of kills and assists. They have massive bounties. And these Vaevictus players can't do fuck all about it. And you know what else? It's 31 minutes. Why hasn't Vaevictus... Why haven't they actually called a surrender? Why haven't they ended the game since they know the game's over anyway? Oh, they're choosing to delay the game as well. They're believing they can still win, wasting everyone's motherfucking time because their team shouldn't even be in the fucking league with these players that they should never have been allowed to, that have made a mockery of the LCL and the competitive integrity that that league represents by even allowing these players to make a mockery. And so because they've made a mockery of it, this other team's decided, you know what? Prove you're a good team. Show that you can even stop us and kill us. Show that you can make us end the game. Because if you're trying to delay the game against another team, well, we all know in League of Legends there's anti-snowball mechanics. There's fucking gold bounties over there. There's times where you get enough farm onto yourself and you get the 6 items and they're on 6 items and you get your levels to the top level and you get a Baron and you get some dragons and you're going to win the game at that point in time. If you're a competent team, this team could never have done it. They got 2 kills out of a 54 kill game at fucking 31 minutes. They should never be in the league. The idea that the big problem here is the other team not ending the game, nah, homie, that's a symptom of this problem. The problem is that this Vaevictus squad is even in the fucking server. What an absolute disgrace this is. Then just consider this aspect, because this is something it says at the bottom of that whole thing. Let's go down to the verdict. You're not even going to believe this one. Right? Admittedly, this is Google translated, so some of the words are going to be off. So we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt on the words that are off, but we're going to read it, okay? It says, verdict. It is not a rule that it can be accepted. ROX and Vega Squadron's rules and regulations of the Summoner Code. Warnings were issued to ROX and Vega Squad. So wait a minute. Let me think about this a second. So it's not even against the rules. It's not, in fact, there's a line that says, although formally this is not prohibited by the rules. What the fuck are you talking about? It's not in the rules. Are you going to update the rules and put it in there? No, of course you're not, because how the fuck could anyone actually determine whether this is happening or not? So it's not in the rules, but you're giving an official warning for it, for something that isn't a violation of the rules, and that would require you to read the minds of those players and determine that they're doing it for sexist reasons, but Team Liquid chilling and letting a game go really, really late and not trying to go aggro early isn't actually a violation of this rule. Splice being shit at closing games out isn't a violation of this rule. Golden Guardians playing and picking for the late game isn't a violation of those rules. Just this one, because you've read their mind and you're so woke you know it's only because they're women. By the way, women who, not because they're women, but because they're shit fucking League of Legends players, shouldn't even be in this fucking game or league. You absolute disgrace, Riot Russia. It's not even against the rules. So let's summarise this whole scenario at the end, shall we? Who is sexist? Well, Riot Russia's sexist by their own logic for implying that women just play support and that you could only ban support champions against women because they're women, not because they're fucking support players in Diamond who only play those champions. 2 of them are meta picks and you're banning off all their specialist ones and they're ones that they play, some of them as off roles as well. Then you've got Vaevictus, they're sexist as fuck because they thought a hilarious PR stunt would have been bringing some women who have no business being in the LCL, let them lose every game, meme about them losing every game, and then as a result hope to sort of flip your team off that kind of PR, that little pop of publicity, and actually sell your team. This is entirely a fucking disgrace and you do not read minds. This video and all of the content on my channel is kindly supported by Dean Tanglis, Andreas, Snazore Westerlund, Gardner Wilson, James Harding, OllieJ, Tobias Bernasconi, NateDOhDoubleG, Travis Greb, Tristan Jones, and as always, a special thanks goes out to Jerky's Minion. Do you want to take part in an esports discussion with yours truly? Would you like teasers for some of my upcoming content? See who the guests are going to be. Do you want to ask me a question for my monthly video AMA? Perhaps you'd like to suggest a guest you'd like to see in my content or a topic to discuss. Well, if so, then put your money where your mouth is and join the Scrilluminati today at the Patreon link in the description box below.